This is TERcets, a literary podcast by the Ekphrastic Review. We have the most and the best writing inspired by art. I'm your host, Brian Salmons. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in again. Today, I'm going to read some poetry by Chuck Salmons of Columbus, Ohio, who has no known relation to me, a creative nonfiction piece by Diane Durant of Fort Worth, Texas, and a villanelle by Jenna of New York City by way of Minnesota. All of the pieces heard on TERcets, along with the art that inspired them, can be found at our website, ekphrastic.net. First up, Chuck Salmons. Chuck is a native of Columbus, Ohio, and current president of the Ohio Poetry Association. His poems have appeared in several journals and anthologies, including Pudding Magazine, Evening Street Review, Common Threads, The Fib Review, Red Thread Gold Thread, Everything Stops and Listens, and Poets to Come, a poetry anthology in honor of Walt Whitman's bicentennial. His chapbook, Stargazer Suite, was released in December 2016 and is available from 11th Hour Press. His second chapbook, Patch Job, was published by Night Ballet Press in 2017. He won the 2011 William Redding Memorial Poetry Contest, sponsored by the Poetry Forum of Columbus, and has garnered awards from Ohio Poetry Day. Most recently, he is a recipient of a 2018 Ohio Arts Council Individual Excellence Award. Chuck regularly gives readings throughout Ohio, both solo and as part of the poetry trio Concrete Wink. He also leads workshops. Learn more at his website, chucksalmons.com. Inspired by various examples of Alice Carpenter's monotype landscapes dating from 2014 through 2018, here are 5 poems by Chuck Salmons, published at the Ekphrastic Review, March 1st, 2021. Ars Poetica. Imagine yourself a kingfisher, skimming the surface of a lake of the woods so placid you catch yourself bemused by the belted reflection whipping its wings below you. Bankside, your nest rests in cool mud somewhere among cattails and reeds. Your rattle declares your brilliance before you break the mirror with one last plunge. The gloaming casts wooden shadows on the far shore, impels you to your darkened hollow, beak empty. Some days offer little more than the grace of gazing inward. You settle in with your brood, shared warmth your only nourishment, and greet the welcoming pause of night with a flourish of want, anticipation for the scattershot of light of dawn. Celluloid. In the bleeding throng of dawn, we cast aside our penchant for precision, deem what is real to be improvisation. Somewhere our mountaintop gets lost. Cathedral-spired cliffs thrust their silhouettes, scale daybreak like a slow dissolve shot in a John Ford film, where our hero lingers off camera. Asks how many suns we must chase before succumbing to serendipity, the wilderness of our longing gilded in an acetate morning beset with shadows. To see clearly is to grasp a whisper. Freehand. Given the choice, how would you enter the space rippling between reeds? Drift with morning mist, torn from a lover's journal? Bloom like a black ibis fishing a parchment fringe. Bleed like a brushstroke, hanging on the folly of margins. What space to enter comes easily. How to fill it takes a lifetime. Landscape 18.4. Whose lone sail carries the boat through sheets of rain, black skies looming? Whose hands guide the rudder through choppy waters? This is the sky breaking. This is after the storm. Lighthouse, a mere shadow on the peninsula. Landfall, a dream. The wake swallows up memories like ink spill in linen. A hard edge bears the night little leniency. A sailor squints in mist, drifting with a calm, heavy-handed yearning. Skeletal. What wild creatures haunt our childhood dreams, lanky, leggy, gathered hip-hinged beneath a waxing moon? Plodding, they roamed open fields as we slept unaware. Only in dreams did we dare dance with such devilish beings intent on dragging our souls into Satan's lair, or so we were told, by Baptist grandparents who tucked us in, held our hands, prayed to a God that lingered somewhere in shadow, prayed that we sleep safely until morning. By the time we grew old enough to trust our doubts, these creatures, whose only sin was a longing for our world to see virtue in their otherness, have left us. We yearn, cling to a past dimly lit, wondering if they still lurk in hillsides, too murky, too foreign for us to trek alone in the blue bruise of night. Next, Diane Durant. Diane works with image, text, and found objects to tell true stories, from paddling rivers and road trips to all the everyday stops in between. She's a graduate of Baylor University, Dallas Theological Seminary, and the University of Texas at Dallas, where she currently serves as Associate Professor of Instruction and Director of the Comer Collection of Photography. She serves on the university's Committee for the Support of Diversity and Equity, as well as the Social Justice Advisory Board for the WNBA's Dallas Wings organization. Diane is the former president of 500X Gallery in Dallas and past editor of The Grass Burr, The Rope, Sojourn, and Reunion, The Dallas Review. Her poems have appeared in Diverse City, River Sedge, Borderlands Texas Poetry Review, Stymie, the Texas Poetry Calendar, and The Spectacle. Her photographs have been exhibited widely and belong to the permanent collection of the National Park Service. Diane is a member of the Board of Directors for the Cedars Union, a nonprofit's arts incubator in North Texas, the LGBTQ caucus leadership team for the Society for Photographic Education, or SPE, and chair of SPE's South Central chapter. Her first monograph, Stories 1986-88, was released by Daylight Books in January 2021. Inspired by Arthur Dove's 1908 painting titled The Lobster, this is Diane Durant's writing of the same name, published at the Ekphrastic Review on February 27, 2021. The Lobster. The life cycle of an American lobster begins with less than favorable odds as it floats the water's surface like a transparent mosquito. Only 1 in 1,000 will survive into adulthood, finish college in 4 years, find a good job, start a family, make their parents proud. I get it. It's all I ever wanted too. But like a young lobster molting, my soft outer shell made me easy prey. A thin skin made of fragile dreams and a fear, mostly of failure, but also snakes, drowning, floral patterned dresses. But I have a backbone. Unlike a young lobster hiding in its burrow until it's better able to swim, I navigated an ocean of naysayers with aquatic-like grace, emerging from my burrows in my own time, shedding encumbrances like an avalanche. Because I'm a survivor, existing on a diet of tenacity, fortitude, and hope. Lobsters are scavengers when necessary, even resorting to sponges when other delicacies are scarce. Crowded by a still life of luscious fruit and vegetables, Arthur Dove's lobster drifts along the table's edge, its lifeless claws no longer pinching or crushing, shredding or fighting, having curled and uncurled its abdomen in retreat for the last time, the white tablecloth, its final surrender. The chance of seeing a white lobster is 1 in a million, its uniqueness more deadly than desirable. Pensive, musing, I devour a handful of grapes like a sacrament, thankful for my own camouflage. And lastly, Jenna lay. Jenna is the author of 6 Rivers, NYQ Books 2011, which was a small press distribution bestseller, and A History of the Cetacean American Diaspora, Anchor and Plume Press 2016. Her poetry, fiction, essays, criticism, and translations appear or are forthcoming in AGNI Online, Bellevue Literary Review, The Best of the Raintown Review, Crab Orchard Review, The Los Angeles Review, Massachusetts Review, The Village Voice, and elsewhere. Her website is jennalayWriting.com. Villanelle for Louise Bourgeois, 1911-2010. Epigraph. I was a runaway girl who turned out all right. Louise Bourgeois. I was a runaway girl who turned out all right. All the algebrists who humped the pillars of the Sorbonne couldn't stop me from running nude into the New York City night. The tapestries of centuries past, their unicorns and whites, couldn't trip up my running shoes. I could not choose but run. I was a runaway girl who turned out all right. My father mended rugs for money. He ate my nanny's rug for spite. To flee the prick of his unicorn horn, I married young. With my bridegroom, I fled nude into the New York City night. If I'd had to, I would have gladly made a solo flight, a la Amelia Earhart. I'm used to doing things alone. I was a runaway girl who turned out all right. Look at me now, surrounded by Manhattan's neon lights. What a palace this place is. Who truly needs the sun when they're running nude in the blue New York City night? Never mind how lonely I get amid these steel-girt heights, or the guilt I feel when I recall the war-torn France I shunned. I was a runaway girl who turned out all right, running nude into the New York City night. This concludes another spellbinding episode of TERcets. I'd like to thank all of the writers and artists featured in today's episode and every day at the Ekphrastic Review. Jadadi made the beautiful music we use as our intro and outro themes. The other music was made by Stealing Orchestra, Chloe Oren, and Pro Leader, aka Benjamin Roca. If you've never read the Ekphrastic Review before, well, go check it out. Like right now. I'm not kidding. Ekphrastic.net. There's always something fun going on at the website, and we have new Ekphrastic writing posted almost every day. By the way, it's entirely volunteer run, so please consider making a donation while you're there. Your support means so much. And let us know what you thought of today's show by emailing us at tercetspod@gmail.com. I'm Brian, and this was TERcets, and I gotta get some more coffee because I'm super tired. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay inspired.